welcome. I know that first to quickly introduce myself. My name is Bilal, and this is Peter. And we'll just give you guys a brief introduction and a quick overview of the Adelaide University Law Student Society, the ALSS for sure, and what we do, a little bit of who we are, and what a typical day in the life of a law student would look like from our perspective as well. Well, we first would like to welcome you to this very exciting virtual experience of the Open Day. Obviously, we're all sort of learning through this together, but congratulations on being able to access it and seeing everything from a very different and exciting perspective and being able to learn from a virtual point of view. We're all on this learning journey together, and we hope that this video can give you a bit of an introduction, but also just a bit of an idea of what the Law Society does. So very briefly, the ALSS is the peak student representative body for law students at the University of Adelaide. Being a law student, you automatically become enrolled as a member, which means we've got approximately 1,600 members at a time, but that's different to the committee itself. So you become an automatic member as a law student, but you then can also get the opportunity to join the committee at the end of each year where we have our elections in semester 2. Once you go into the law school, it's a little bit tricky to show you virtually, but as soon as you step into the law building, you'll see our offices on the ground floor as soon as you enter, and it's a great opportunity. We've got a wonderful open door policy, and it's a great opportunity for you to come in and ask any questions or get a bit of help where you need to as well. So that's always welcome, and we'd love to hopefully see your smiling face next semester.
So the AULSS committee is comprised of portfolios. Now, these comprise of the executive and then general committee members. So on the executive, we have the president, vice president, education director, careers and sponsorship director, social justice, competitions and activities. And then we have some independent officers as well. So these portfolios on the executive are the leading bodies of the AULSS, and under them they have their representatives.
So what we'll do today is we'll go through very briefly what each of the portfolios are, and that way you can get a bit of an idea of the different things that the Law Society does, and maybe potentially something that you'd be interested in joining for next year as well. And do not stress at all, it can seem quite overwhelming at first, but once you sort of have a look at our website and once we go over a few things, you'll be very familiar in no time, and you'll be able to hopefully come up with any questions that you need to as well to let us know. Now, very quickly, what I'll do is I'll start off with the different executive positions first. So by way of introduction, I'm Bilal, the president, and Peter is the director of education. So in your first year, you'd be mainly working with the education portfolio. But really quickly, the vice president and president are in charge of a lot of the administrative stuff. So that includes obviously the finances and banking, as well as paying invoices. And every year as well, we do have a collection of apparel where you can buy hoodies and jumpers that say Adelaide University Law Student Societies. So to let your friends know and get a bit of support as well with the Law Society.
So I'll speak a little bit about my portfolio. So it's the education portfolio. So this is mainly to do with the orientation of first year students. So we have many events over the course of the semester that we run. Notably is the first year drinks night. Now, unfortunately, due to COVID, we haven't been able to do that, but it's always a very popular event, and I encourage you to take part in that when you can and when we're able to run that. And we also supply students with seminars about legal research and referencing. So we're there to help you have the resources to get the best grades that you can throughout law school.
Wonderful. Now moving on, the careers and sponsorship. Now this one is not one that you'd have to worry about until a little bit later in your degree. Now this sort of helps you transition from being a university student into the professional legal field. So the careers and sponsorship portfolio run a few things such as a careers seminar and a careers fair where you can join and ask different law firms that come on campus. You can ask some sort of questions of what that would look like. But of course, for now, we'll focus more on the earlier education stage where it's transitioning from school into university. But this is definitely something to keep in mind as well for future years, and to keep an eye out for the different seminars and workshops that they run as well, that give you the chance to sort of get an idea of what it looks like to be working in the legal profession.
So next we have the social justice portfolio. Now this portfolio is responsible for advocating on issues of social justice and equity that affect law students. Our main events include the Walk for Justice and social justice breakfasts, fundraising events, suit drives, and they're very vocal in advocating for things like Aboriginal legal rights. And we also, these fundraising events go to help the public law bodies that are for people who aren't able to afford the legal fees that are rising at the moment. They're very high. So we do a lot of fundraising to help underprivileged people gain access to the legal system. So that's their main role, but they also advocate on other issues that are important to law students.
Alrighty. Now moving forward, we've got competitions as well. Competitions is a great extracurricular they're more academic competitions that give you the chance to sort of participate in different events of real life experiences of things that you do when working as a future lawyer. So that could be things like interviewing clients or negotiating with a different team, as well as something that we do in law called mooting, which is sort of like where you would see movies where the lawyers would present to the judge a different case. This is somewhat similar to debating that you might have done in school, but of a more legal and technical way of doing it. So what we do is we host these competitions internally, so within the university, and we do different ones in the first semester as well as in the second semester. As a first year next year, there is a first year moot. So that's sort of designed to give you a bit of an idea of what the mooting would look like. And you can do that within your first year peers as well. So it's not too overwhelming just yet. And what then happens is the winners of the grand finalists of each competition then get the opportunity to compete nationally as well as internationally. So we do have something called ALSA, where you get the chance to, for example, compete in Melbourne or different states across all the other law universities of the winners of each state. So that's definitely a very exciting opportunity and just a really good learning experience as well, to get an experience of what it looks like to be doing real life sort of legal competitions as well. Every year we do look at hosting various competitions, and we try to get involved with as many competitions that are run nationally as well, to give you that bit of an idea as well as a good chance to get that sort of experience.
So next is the activities portfolio. This is by far the funnest portfolio because they organise all the law school events. So that includes opening party, pub crawls, Pro Vino, which is our annual wine tour. That's always a very fun event. And of course the infamous Law Ball, which is the largest of its type in the Southern Hemisphere. So that's definitely something to keep your eyes out on, and I would encourage everyone to go to as many events as you can. It's the best way to meet new people and develop connections with others, and I've met some friends that I think will be lifelong friends from that, just attending the events. So I really encourage you, but keep your eyes out for the activities portfolio and what they're doing on campus.
So that's a little bit about us, and now we'll just quickly run through a few different tips and tricks and little pointers that we have from our experience of doing law so far, that you can sort of keep an eye out for. So some things to sort of know, it's quite important with law, obviously, as you might hear, there's quite a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, that is true, but it's quite important to study smarter and not harder. As you have different classes that are all sort of taught a little bit differently and the course structure changes every now and then, it's quite important to familiarize yourself with the ways that you find comfortable when you do your own study. And so that way you're not sort of doubling up on the work that you're doing, but you're doing what works for you in a way that's efficient and you can get lots done at the same time. But having said that, also being able to sort of balance your extracurriculars, for example, or anything else you do outside of uni. And moving into university can be quite a large cultural shift. So you'll notice your schedule and your routine, everything changes completely from what you're sort of used to right now being in year 11 and year 12. So that will quite, take a bit of a minute and take some time to adjust to. Do not stress at all. That's very, very normal. And this is what societies like ourselves, the ALSS, is here for. And we're sort of here to help you transition into that and make the most of your university experience. And unfortunately, sometimes, as I was saying, the courses can be a little bit difficult. You need to keep in mind that a bad grade here or there or a bad assignment is not the end of the world. Unfortunately, it does happen, and it's all part of the learning experience. What's most important is how you sort of learn from that mistake and how you sort of learn to develop your own growth from that. Now,
so we'll just quickly run down the typical law student week. So you will have, if you're doing it full-time, you'll have 12 units per semester. Otherwise, part-time is anything less than that. So 12 units includes 4 subjects. And most of the subjects have about 3 contact hours per week. So it's about a 2-hour lecture and then a 1-hour seminar tutorial. And all the lectures will be available online, especially COVID now, the restrictions, we can't actually have lectures. So they're all online, and they're online anyway, despite COVID. So that way you can re-watch it, and really it helps you to absorb the information, because sometimes over a 2-hour period, your brain just switches off. But this gives you the ability to go back and revise your notes. Tutorials and seminars are especially crucial for learning. This is where your lecturer or seminar leader will go through problem questions and show you how to answer the problem questions as if it was an exam problem. And typically, the problem questions that you see in seminars and tutorials will have a similar format to your exam. So make sure to attend all of those and really listen to the lecturer and engage the lecturer. Feel free to ask questions, don't be shy. It's the best way to learn and to get the most out of the knowledge of your seminar leader. Personal study, keep on top of your readings, but also work smarter, not harder. So, yes, work smarter, not harder, that's right. So really use what you've learned in the seminars and the lectures and see what your readings are, see what's relevant, see what's not so relevant, spend more time on what you think is harder for you to grasp, and focus on that. And don't leave your exam notes until SWOT-VAC. That's always something we strive for. It's unfortunately not always the case, but if you can stay on top of your notes, constantly revising them, constantly refining them, and so by the time you get to SWOT-VAC and exam time, you're familiar with your notes, and then you can bring those into the exam with you and be completely familiar with those.
So adding on to what Peter was just saying, here are sort of different ways that you can prepare yourself throughout each week. Like Peter was firstly saying, it's quite important to attend or watch all your lectures before your seminars. That way you can sort of stay on top of it and are able to engage with any discussions that are happening. And having said that, in each seminar, in each class, they'll give you different tutorial preparations and different things that you can prepare for, exactly like how you prepare before a class in school. And it's really important to be able to make the most out of those tutorials by actually preparing beforehand. And even if that doesn't mean like you have to, have quite a large, set of papers or numerous pages of documents ready and prepared, but it's more so just being able to read over the material first, write out some notes, answer any questions that were given to you, so that you can go into the tutorial and really make the most out of it. Now, while some of these tutorials may not be compulsory, this will depend on each class, but it is very, very beneficial. And if you ask anyone, the biggest thing they would recommend is that you definitely do attend all of these classes, because as you could logically imagine, without these classes, you wouldn't sort of be able to fully understand the course or get the best idea of what to expect when it comes time to the exam, of course. Now with that, obviously you guys would know, having sat through some very exciting SACE exams, is preparing notes is something that you would sort of do individually and something that you do on your own pace. So throughout uni, it's important to, like you would do in school, consolidate your notes and of what you've learned in class, so that you have a bit of a reference, so that when it does come time before the exams, you'll have a bit of an idea and almost like a pre-written set of notes to help you get into the exams. These are sort of all just different ways to be able to stay organized throughout the semester so that you're not sort of leaving everything to the last minute or get overwhelmed by the amount of content that you would have to cover in 12 weeks versus if you just did a little bit at a time, a little bit each week for those 12 weeks.
Some interesting electives that are quite unique to the law school. So we have strategic space law. Now this is, these electives, I should note, don't occur every year, but when they do, make sure to jump on or at least have a look at them and consider them because they're very unique to the law school, and we have some great academics and leaders in the fields in these electives right here at our law school. So we have strategic space law. So this is to do with space law field. I'm not too familiar myself, but I'd love to definitely learn more. You deal a lot with the Outer Space Treaty and other treaties. So who owns, say, mining on, like whether you can mine on asteroids, or who owns some resources, or how far does jurisdiction of a country go in space. So it's very interesting and definitely an emerging area, considering the space agency's just opened up right behind us on North Terrace. So keep your eye out for that. Miscarriages of justice. We've got climate change law, sports law, medical law and ethics, and particularly this semester we have it focusing on a pandemic scenario. So definitely keep your eyes open for that. And that's typically available in summer schools as well. International humanitarian law, native title law, and corporate gatekeepers. These are third, fourth, fifth year subjects, but just keep your eyes out for those. And I should note that the education portfolio will be coming out with an electives guide, so keep your eyes out for that at the end of the semester, and that will have a composition of pretty much all the electives, or at least 90% that you'll come across, and these will have student testimonials and how they went and how they found the course, and hopefully that will give you an idea of what electives you would like to choose.
Now, another really exciting thing about studying law is you do get the opportunity to go on study tours and exchanges where you basically study abroad for a semester. Of course, that is all very dependent on what's going on. Unfortunately, this year and potentially in future years, that might be cancelled due to COVID, as you can imagine. But that's definitely something that the law school offers as well, and something that you can do, which is a great way to get very, very valuable experience of studying at a different university overseas as well. So definitely do keep that in mind as well. Some places that people go to include New York, Germany, and China as well. So that's obviously subject to everything going on right now.
So whether you did legal studies in year 12 or not, don't stress. If you did legal studies, that's good. You'll know the first 3 weeks of lecture content for foundations. Beyond that, legal studies doesn't really help. I didn't do legal studies myself, but know a lot of friends that did, and they said that beyond the 3rd week, it was all new. So don't worry, everyone gets up to the same level, and everyone's on there. Everyone will be learning new content together. So don't feel that if you didn't do legal studies, you won't be able to pick up on legal concepts as quickly. Everyone, by week 4, week 5, everyone's in the same position.
Now, a lot of people do, before going into law, sort of wonder what you're actually getting into and what sort of like problem questions or what sort of things that you'd have to be answering look like. A typical thing that we do in law is interpret statute, which is like legislation, rules that have come out from Parliament. So they would look at the wording of the different statutes that come out and the different sections of each legislation, for example. So traditionally what that would look like is you would get a problem question that would then involve an issue with how the statute's been interpreted, and you would sort of then provide a bit of a discussion based on the laws and the rules that you've learned in class around that problem question. And what you're then doing is you would apply those laws to the facts that were given to you in the problem question, and you would sort of answer it on that basis. Of course, every course will be a little bit different, but it sort of just gives you a bit of an idea of what to sort of expect.
So the other component of law is the common law, so judge-made law, which will involve reading cases. Now, you might be familiar, we have the High Court, which is the peak judicial body in the Commonwealth in Australia, and we have the South Australian Supreme Court and the district courts. So the South Australian Supreme Court is the highest court in our jurisdiction, and appeals go to the High Court from there. So basically, case reading involves reading what judges have said about a particular case and their reasoning behind the decision that they've come to. This will supplement statutes and legislation. It often involves interpreting of statutes. So judges basically, due to the separation of powers, the judicial branch interprets what the legislature and the executive, the legislature passes through Parliament. So that's how that works and you'll typically be asked to familiarise yourself with principles of cases. And it is very arduous reading, it's long, but it is very rewarding once you finally get to the nuts and bolts of a case and you figure out the principle you're looking for. But I would say it will seem like a bit of a new language to you, but the more you practice, the more you read, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll be reading 30, 40-page cases in a brief amount of time.
Now, that's all from us today. We will make sure as well to connect with us on Facebook and connect with us on Instagram. We do have an account as well. If there's anything, definitely feel free to email me. All of our sort of social media details will be made available on the slides that you'll be able to access. And something else we do is every year we make a Facebook page that's dedicated to the year level that's starting. So make sure to definitely join that year level group when you, if you do end up doing law next year, so that you can access all on the slides. We do know that this can be like quite overwhelming. A lot of the information would be very new to you, but do not stress at all. It's very important to know that university is a great experience. It's a great learning opportunity as well. So sort of just learn a little bit about yourself as well, what you enjoy doing, what you want the next steps of your life to be. But it's also an excellent way, like Peter was saying before, to just meet new people, make new friends, and really sort of put yourself out there and just get through the different sort of degree with your friends and the people that you're with. And it's a very, very important period of your life, and you'll have a great time as well, and it'll be just excellent experiences. But if you do have any questions as well, definitely do reach out to us, and we hope that you find this video not too boring and not too long, but also quite beneficial to give you a bit of an idea of what it might look like next year if you gladly join us doing law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.